when I did Area 51, and I went down through all the different levels of that. And again, that was captured live on whiteboard as well. Again, done blind. I didn't know what we were doing.
I live right by Area 51. I live about an hour and a half away. I've driven over there and looked around, and I'm telling you, it's so strange. Even when you get into the state of Nevada or near it, you get out into those desert roads, and there's just a whole lot of nothing, and just strange ventilation pipes and power boxes or antennas coming up with chain link fences around them. And it feels like when you look at it, that whole part of the state, a whole region of the country is actually just an underground installation. So maybe describe a little bit what you saw at Area 51.
Yeah, I saw some. I mean, you know, I kind of knew at certain that I was looking at something that was underground, an underground structure. So I drew that, and it had all these levels that were radiating around almost like a central pipe, and each level had a different area of focus or attention that it was working on. And I can't remember what they were on which parts, but you know, the first one was mainly a security living arrangements kind level. And then there were some science levels. There were some levels when they were looking at metal and metallurgical kind of stuff. There were definite levels where they had moving craft and technology. There's also a level where they had I didn't think I saw, I'll have to go back and re-look at it, but I don't think I saw any live walking around alien type beings. But I did see non-human. I don't want to call them alien because we just don't know at this stage. So I'll call them non-human. There were non-human life forms in tanks in various stages of being cut up and you know being maimed and all that kind of stuff.
Like dissection.
But there were some you know actual proper physical ones as well. But I didn't see any live ones. But then I went to another level and they were actually doing lots of experimentation with the samples and the biology of the non-human life forms, and they were actually doing it in a way that was I felt it wasn't beneficial science research. I felt it was more virology and making weapons from the physical parts of the alien bodies.
Really? Like they're developing exotic alien form genetic weapon forms and things.
Something like that, yes.
I know that's a lot of, there's Area 51 in Nevada, and if you go northeast of that into the borders into Utah, which is the state that I live in, near the Salt Flats, there's what they're calling Area 52 now, which is like Dugway Airfield. And there's a lot of exotic chemical and biological weapons they do out in the middle of the desert there. It really makes you wonder. You saw almost like, I remember Area 51 being just like, you know, airport hangars and things and like runways or driveways on the surface, and then as your consciousness probed deeper and followed it, it's almost like a big pine cone underground, like a spire going down with radial rooms coming off of it.
Spokes off of a wheel. It felt like it was radiating out at different levels as you went down. It spiraled downwards, and you know they did have a level that did proper physical weaponry as well, you know. I didn't really understand. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and review it, but they were doing that. And I also, at one point, and this is what really amazed me, because I literally only just managed to find feedback on something like this, is in one of the areas there, I saw that there was a football-shaped sphere, you know, around about this kind of size, and it was metallic looking. And as I was probing it, you know, kind of intuitively, I felt like there inside it actually was a conscious living AI type machine that was there, and it felt like almost like it was in a packing crate somewhere or something, or in some kind of containment, you know. So they kind of knew what they had, but they didn't really know what they had. They didn't realize the power that this thing had. And, you know, I thought that was mind-blowing, and I didn't really understand what I was seeing. And literally just this week, I turned on the TV one day and I saw a paranormal documentary, and it was about some people, I think it was in Brazil. They were on their farmland one day and they found a metallic sphere, and they called it the best sphere, perfect shaped sphere, and they just found it in the forest one day, and they took it home with them, and it used to follow them around the house and stuff. And
I've seen that. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And they x-rayed it and stuff, and they felt that it had this consciousness inside. And I was like, but they then got it examined by the military or the government or something, and no one knows where it went from that point onwards. And I was like, whoa, this ties in with what I saw. This is so freaky.
Yeah,
That's the first time I ever heard of anything like that.
that's so bizarre. Paul Smith, the remote viewer, he lives a half hour from me here. His school is just like up the road from me here, where
Yeah.
he teaches remote viewing CRV stuff. And he talked about that too, seeing the being tasked maybe by Russell Targ, I don't remember, somebody back in the old days to look at part of the moon. And he said he saw the same thing, like a big craft that suddenly seemed to almost not only be conscious, but seemed to perceive and be aware that it was being remote viewed, which is
this
very
thing knew.
fascinating.
Yeah.
This thing knew that you were there.
Yeah, and it felt like an artificial intelligence, but it felt like an artificial intelligence that was fully conscious on a greater spiritual level than I probably am.
That's
very
fascinating.
strange.
How do you explain that something down in a secret military base
I have no idea.
in the desert in Nevada is aware that you're sitting in your office at home in the UK
and
using
it felt
your
like
mind to look?
Felt like a prisoner or detained or something, but it really felt like they didn't know what they had. They thought they just had a sphere or something, and they didn't really understand the power of what was inside it.
Wow. So you've anything else that you saw at Area 51? I love this stuff. This is so fascinating.
I can't remember.
Hey, Daz, this is why you got into this. You wanted to learn these things when you were a kid, and now you're that's so cool. So
yeah, but I do so many targets now over the years that I have to be honest. As I'm getting older as well, they all tend to blur into one. Because I'm doing like 4 or 5 a week at the moment. So
how about Roswell? I saw one you did with Roswell.
Yeah, that was particularly good. Could
you talk about that for just a little bit, and then maybe we can save a bunch more stories for another one?
Yeah. Roswell was great as well. I mean, and it seems to confirm all the data that's out there of a crash event and dead and living. As I said, I don't like to call them ETs because we just don't know at this stage, but non-human life forms were recovered. I went into great detail on that one about how the craft moved as well, how it kind of stretched itself in time and space, and then the front part would go over here, and as it was stretching over here, then like a rubber band, the back part of it would put itself into the space behind it. Very strange stuff, and about how we think they're physical, but the way these craft can move and they're propelled, they're also non-physical as well as being physical, and the life forms can do the same as well. And I don't know if that's using a technology or not, but it felt like they at times could be just as non-physical as they are physical. Yeah, it's all I can say is looking at it from my viewpoint here of not really understand what's going on. It just feels like magic. What they're doing is amazing, but it seemed to be a totally true event to me that seemed to tally in every detail with what I've read over the years. And yeah.
Wow. So Roswell, Area 51. That's so many. What about go ahead.
Yeah, we've done loads. We did the for Farsight as well. We did the Phoenix Lights. That was a pretty good one as well. Myself and Dick Augar did that. Got some great data on that as well. That seemed to be, again, it was all done blind, but we had all these huge craft over a city location with strange life forms inside it. Yeah. Tunguska as well, the Tunguska explosion in 1908. We did that. And, most of these projects I'm talking about, loads of other remote viewers out there in the larger general community have also done the very same targets and getting very similar data or the exact same data going back decades, especially on targets like the Moon and Mars. Yeah. And so you go and you compare your remote viewing data to what the other people are doing and realize that everybody's being tasked this blindly and getting sort of the same consensus, different perspectives and things like that. That's so cool.